Everyone, Paul here. Today I'm going to show you guys a pretty simple strategy for trading the S&P. This is for actually looking at the longer time frame. This is the 5-day chart. So each candle will represent 5 days of data, basically Monday through Friday. It will represent, and we're going to be using the linear line regression candles, and we'll be also be using the trend lines, which will help show you some pretty good bounce zones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline from the lowest point to the highest point, and you can base everything basically off of that last 5-day candle. So I'm going to show you how to set it up. The formula is really simple. What I have this on here is the SPY, and on the 5-day, and what you can see here is every candle represents one 5-day cycle, basically Monday through Friday. And what you want to do is you want to get to your linear regression candles, and you get there by going to indicators and going to linear regression candles. Now the next thing you want to have is, this is optional, but you can have your EMA difference here with the settings of 13 and 24. That's another indicator that kind of helps show. But we won't really be using that a lot for this strategy. What we basically want to be focusing on is the linear regression. So once you have this, you want to draw a line, and it's going to be pretty close, since these are 5-day candles, to if you guys draw it for yourself. Basically, you want to go to your lowest point, which is down here, and you want to go to your highest point, which is up here. So this is your trend line. So this is basically pretty simple. You can tell everything. You can find all the bounce zones basically off of this line, because it has been going in a uptrend basically since November 2nd. So there's a high probability that when it gets close to this trend line, it's going to bounce. So basically you can figure out where the low is every time the candle gets close to that line. So like we see right here, it came close to it and then it goes up. Now remember, these are 5-day candles. So it goes up, and if you did this on, well, if you did this on Forex, you'd be able to hold it longer. But if you did this on Robinhood, you wouldn't be able to hold this long, but still you would still be in profit, even if you did buy a very long contract. So every moment where it gets close to the line, you could almost move your cursor here as it goes up, as the line goes up. You could find pretty much the bottom on most of these. So even if you come right here, around here, you'll know that the bottom is 446, and what you basically got to do is wait for the candle to get close to that trend line, because it hasn't broken it since November 2nd. So anyway, based off of it, what we see right now is it's pretty much touching the trend line right now. So the bottom pretty much is at 583. So what you can do to prepare for trades is, when the price gets close to 583, that's when you can enter a call. So the next thing you want to do is you want to observe the candle itself. And this candle here, well, this still has a 5 days, so it's a new candle coming. But if you look at this candle, and why we did the linear regression candle, is when you have more of a wick at the top, it usually means it's being pushed down. If you have more of the wick at the bottom, it usually means it's being pushed up. That's why I do linear regression candles. So what we could tell by looking at this 5-day candle right here, we could tell that it's close to the it's close to the bottom, which is about 582, and we see this big wick down here, which is basically telling me that the price it's going to be starting to push up, basically. So there's more pressure to push it up than there is to push it down. So what we can going into the next week is the price is most likely going to go up. So knowing that, and knowing that the bottom is potentially about 582, we could either wait for the price to get around 582, or then we can go to a lower time frame and then check and see, we can base it, because we know that 582 is pretty much the bottom. If we go to a smaller time frame, like the day, now in this scenario we would just wait for there to be a little bit of a downturn right here, or you can go to a smaller time frame like the hour, and you can wait for a little bit of a pullback. So anyway, that's just a way to see it. Now another method of doing this is, we know that the trend is going up, so it's just, we looked at the 5-day, so we know the trend's going up. So if you turn on your plot point here with the linear lines, you could find some good moments to get in. You know that the price is going to start going up. You can get in right about here, ride that one out, and you can ride that one out. That one's getting close to it. Right here, it's touching, and then it goes back up, and then you see it happen right here. See right here, it starts going up here. You could have rode that one out, and you could have rode this one out. So this is a very helpful strategy. First thing you need to do is you need to go to your 5-day. You need to go to your 5-day and draw your trend line. You draw your trend line, and you'll be able to measure. And this is basically, if you're doing Robinhood, you have to be a little bit more precise on it, because you got contracts and they expire. But if you're doing something like SPX, you can basically enter at any point, and you'll know that, even if it goes against you, and if it comes down just a little bit more, it will only come down probably about that much, which isn't a lot, but just wait for it to come down a bit. And because this is basically the bottom, because eventually what it's going to be doing is push back up. Basically, this is literally pretty much the bottom of SPY, unless what you want to do, because if you manage to actually come down here and ride this entire thing out, this 5-day formula will actually help you find very long trades to get in. So if you find this again, you'll end up making a lot of money, because you'll know when the trend is starting. And when the trend breaks, basically if the trend breaks and starts coming down, you'll know that there'll be a huge downtrend for SPY. But most likely it's going to bounce from here, from what we can tell. Now if it breaks this trend line, that's another story. But what it looks like right now, about 583 is the bottom. 583 is the bottom, and then you can just catch this trend line all the way up. So anyway, that's a very, very helpful strategy with SPY. Now you can use this for other stocks. You can use this for, let's just say, the QQQ. Have you used the QQQ? Let's check this one real quick. So we're on a 5-day with the QQQ. Let me turn off my linear line. So it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, so we have a ray tool, from here, this is our 5-day chart. Come right here, right about here. So there's your trend line. And you know, QQQ has the same thing. It's the same thing. QQQ has more room to come down. The bottom of QQQ is about 490. So personally, I would wait for it to drop to that level, and you can come in, and then about 490 would be the bottom of QQQ. But anyway, this is a really helpful strategy. Looking at SPY and look at QQQ, you can really, and looking at this on the 5-day chart, you can really find those power moves with trend lines and the linear regression. So anyway, what you want to use the 5-day chart for is really to see the overall trend, if it's going to be touching that trend line. And if it comes close to that trend line, you basically want to look at that last 5-day candle to see, you want to look at your wick. And you want to see if there's a lot of room on the wick on the bottom of it. That usually means there's more pressure of it to go back up. If you see a lot more of the wick at the top on the 5-day candle, that usually means there's more pressure to push it down. So anyway, this is a very helpful strategy. It works good for SPY. It works good for the QQQ. And it probably will work good for a lot of the other assets as well. So anyway, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in future videos.